Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim wa tasliman kathiran kathiran. Alhamdulillah, when we do some good, we look for instant gratification. We want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the reward instantly. But if we do evil, we want Him to withhold His punishment. I don't want it instantly. But not only withhold it, but don't even punish me. And if I get punished, then I'm complaining. And if I do good, I want to be rewarded instantaneously, soon, rather than later. Or I want to be rewarded soon and later, now and later. But what happens is, sometimes we lose that hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us. Right? And this is where the biggest problem occurs with why people cannot do things continuously. And I'd love to say, well, your iman is weak. You need to strengthen your iman. But there are people who have gone to Hajj, who pray Salah 5 times a day, who give zakat, as you could see, do all these things, and still they would think the same thing. They will say the same thing. Well, the reward. And I mean, what if I don't make it as a believer through the end, and I went through all these struggles and this and that? So the first thing, you as a brother, as a Muslim brother and sister, what you need to understand is that you have to think the best of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to think the best of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in terms of His reward, and in terms of His remembering you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, ever is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appreciative of service. This is the translation of the word. But ever is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appreciative of whatever you do. Then, when we look at also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's reward for us, a believer must never think in their own mind, even for a moment. Don't even let it cross your mind. Will Allah reward me for this? Will He give me something? Does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, right? In Surah Al-Zilzala, at the end of it, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Pay attention to this ayah. This ayah should be written down, I believe, in front of everyone's eyes, constantly, 24/7. And I'm not going to go into the entire surah, not even to the ayah after this, because the topic isn't related to that. The topic is فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that even if you did some khair the size of an atom or smaller than that, and subatomic particles wasn't something that even people had discovered until about 80, 70 years ago, Samad. Even the concept didn't cross their mind. The Greeks thought of the concept of the atom, the smallest form of creation, but nobody thought there was anything smaller than that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew, and humans didn't know until about 80 years ago. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Anything that is the size of an atom or even smaller than that. Oh, could there be any deed that could be that small? Meaning that even if it's that small and it seems that minute to you or to somebody else, even that will be brought forth on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding you. Don't think that I have forgotten. Allah is not one of those who, when you do good, you do khair, He forgets. For example, you might be a worker in a giant corporation, and you're always honest, you're always diligent, you do your work on time, you turn everything in before it's due, you give it 100%. And nobody may ever notice. Your supervisor may never notice. Your manager may never forget about the VP and the president of the company. They may never notice what you do. And you continue doing this khair in hopes that maybe one day you'll be recognized for your diligence, for your honesty. But when it comes to the Rabbul Alameen, the Lord of everything, the one who knows everything, why do we hold such low value in terms of our eyes of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows and will do for us? The believer, man or woman, should constantly think to themselves, whatever good you do, just remember this ayah and keep repeating it to yourself. So when you're thinking to yourself, should I continue this? For example, my parents are old. Should I take care of them? Or should I give them to some nursing home? Or my parents are old. Should I spend more time with them, or I'm busy with my life? Or my children, do I give them more attention, or do I keep doing more overtime to provide them with more material things? Or my wife, should I say something nice to her? Should I just continue on my regular daily chores? Or my husband, should I do something special for him today? Or even my household, should I really be working this hard to provide for them? Is there reward in this? Or is there reward in me when I feed my children and I make some food for my husband? Or if I clean the house, where is the reward? Is there reward? SubhanAllah. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam even told his daughter Fatima radiallahu anha, when she asked for a servant to help her in the house because her hands were getting rough, and he said, it's better for you if you do the work for your family yourself on Yawm al-Qiyamah. You're my daughter, I'm only thinking about you. And when you're doing something nice for a Muslim brother or sister, when it crosses your mind, should I or shouldn't I? Just remember, فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. That'll break Shaitan's back. Because Shaitan is always the one who's telling you, no, don't waste your time doing this thing. No one is going to notice you. You're doing the right thing all the time. You're following the deen all the time. You're lowering your gazes every time. Who's noticing you that you're a pious man? You turn away from haram and the worldly desires. Who's noticing you that you're a pious woman? You put on this hijab, this niqab, or whatever you put on to protect yourself. Nobody's noticing you. Nobody thinks you're pious. You get up in tahajjud, you're praying salah. Who sees that? You say some nice word to somebody, or you hold yourself back from saying something to hurt somebody's feelings. Who's noticing that? And then you say it to yourself, فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. On that day, every little thing that you think is insignificant, that you might think is insignificant, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring back. So imagine the things that you know are significant. Salah, right? First and foremost. And good character, the way you speak to people, the way you treat people. Of what use is your salah if you have the character of a donkey, where you bray and yell at people and abuse people, attack people? Or you have the character of Fir'aun, arrogant, that you pray salah. Of what use? What has the salah done to you? When you're trying to take on the attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you're arrogant and proud, what use? So even when you're doing khair or refraining from hurting people and keeping good character, following the deen, every little bit you do, never, ever in your mind think no one notices, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala notices. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware, and this is why He tells you, if not in this dunya, then in akhirah, فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. Every little thing, even that smaller than the atom, will be brought forth for judgment, for reward,